Dear students, let's learn what is well-being. Well-being is beyond the transient feeling of feeling happy, joyful. So we must know that we should be able to enjoy the work for our well-being, larger well-being. The lecture consists of the works of Professor Martin E.P. Seligman and Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. The titles of these two eminent researchers in positive psychology are flashed on the screen so that the student would get a first-hand knowledge of what they are listening to if they are interested. So what is well-being is, enjoying the present, that is reconciling the present and the future. The challenge of reconciling the present and the future helps in evolving well-being plans, and we need to develop well-being plans for ourselves. The systematic study of the rat racer, hedonist, nihilism, happiness type reveals the individuals the path of well-being. Everybody consists of some element of all these types. A person who maximizes enjoyment while working will maximize the benefits and will be very successful person in the long run. The rat racer types has programmed societally. The societal programming is such that the results are more important than the process of learning. But in reality, the process of learning, acquiring skill should be more important. Learning ought to be a fun is overlooked in the process, and that is giving rise to the disinterest of the students in learning. So this should be re-established. It is essential. Becoming anxious and stressed, fears performing poorly on the tests. So performing poorly on the tests makes the students anxious. So they are studying, but they are studying with the aim of performing very good in the test. So that's not the real thing. And the examination pattern should also be such that they should enjoy the process of learning. Most of the students are waiting for the holidays to come so that the drudgery of studying reduces and they will enjoy the holiday. So that really is a trait of rat racer, but not really very good in the long run, because the respite from the studies is treated as happiness or well-being, but in reality that is not the case. The rat racer types most of the time values grades most. Grades are the measure of the success, and they are valuing those more than it is the societal program is as well, because the adults are valuing grades more, the students also are valuing grades more. The student dislikes the school but continues to work really very hard, so he passes with very good grades. He internalizes this formula that even if we are not liking the studying, you just continue to work hard and get the grade, and internalizing this formula in the long run will lead the student to become a rat racer. Sacrificing present enjoyment in order to be happy in the future is no gain and no pay. No gain without pain. So most of the students are trained societally that no gain without pain is the formula that should be there for the success. But this is not a very correct formula for the success. It is a recipe for becoming a rat racer. So that should be avoided. Most of the students are driven by the need to amass titles and honors. When the pressure becomes overwhelming, he tells himself, the students tell themselves that fun will be there after the results or after the colleges, institutes, vacations, in the institute vacation. Once in a while, he receives good results. In the case of employees, a good raise. In the case of people who are working professionals, promotion, a larger bonus. Once they get that for momentary, they are enjoying that. But if one is not enjoying the work at the workplace, then he has to return to the workplace. As the drudgery returns, the sense of fulfillment disappears. And this sense of fulfillment disappears means the person is becoming a rat racer. One needs to clearly think in his mind that he should not turn into a rat racer, because a rat racer can never enjoy a working life. If the person is doing the work that he likes, he will never become a rat racer and he will enjoy the work. The people who are successful, they have always enjoyed their work. Why not become like the people who are successful? We should follow the right models. The rat racer, he does not know What to tell to the children? For the students, a person, or for the person who is a professional, he has been a very successful professional without enjoying the work, it is very difficult for his followers to tell that you become like me, because he is not enjoying the process. A person who really enjoys the process will be able to tell to the people that you become a doctor or an engineer or a teacher, because that gives the lasting fulfillment and you can enjoy this throughout your life. Is being successful synonymous with miserable? Many successful people, you will find that they are miserable, and one should not be miserable over being successful. Then it is really very difficult life for that guy. The rat racer type confuses relief for the happiness, and relief is short-lived. As the relief is a transient, once the relief goes, he will face the anxiety that he had faced earlier while working. After a couple of months, he is caught by the same sense of anxiety, because he has to continue to work to get the salary packet. He has to go to the same workplace, enjoy the work. As he is not able to enjoy the work, the anxiety is bound to return. The pleasant moments which come from being relieved of a burden are short-lived. His work builds again and again, along with it his anxiety. So, a person who is enjoying his work can continue to work without getting anxiety. He can enjoy the vacations because he deserves them. He can enjoy the work because he is able to draw satisfaction while doing the work. So he will not become a rat racer. What differentiates rat racers is exactly their inability to enjoy what they are doing, the persistent belief that once they reach a destination, they will be happy. This is definitely stopping them from enjoying the work. And society rewards results and not processes. This is the reality. We cannot compel the society to change its general attitude in a very short span of time. So we have to contribute our bit so that even society loves the happy mood, or society also loves the processes more than the rewards. Society rewards arrivals than journeys. So journeys plus arrivals, that should be rewarded. A person, when he acquires the awards after hard work, he enjoys that. The society should respect the time for which he is doing the effort, as well as the award that he gets after completion of those efforts. When we mistake the moments of respite for happiness, we reinforce the illusion that simply reaching goals will make us happy. But simply reaching goals will not make us happy. Simply earning money cannot be a goal, and earning money by any means cannot be allowed, because unless you are abiding by the rules of the society, you cannot enjoy the money that you get. In many of the Hindi films, you will find that the heroes are successful because they are getting money, but they are not acquiring that money with the proper ways. That also is a very bad thing. The experience of respite is negative happiness, because absence of work is the negation of stress and absence. See, one has to work throughout his life. If absence of work is negation of stress and anxiety, it is really very difficult for that person to go throughout his life with the same vigor to work. It is very important that when we are working, we should be enthusiastic, and to become enthusiastic, we should attach right emotions to the work that we undertake. If we are able to attach the right emotions that to the work that we undertake, then we shall be continuously enjoying the work that we do. The nature of respite is assumption of unpleasant experience. The work is assumed to be unpleasant. Many times the perception that we get of the work is wrong. In the long run, the work may be enjoying, but as we are not attaching right moment, we are not evaluating the work as enjoyable, the work is not enjoyable. Otherwise, the work is enjoyable. We cannot consume a good meal in the night without proper physical exertion. A person who is not doing proper physical exertion cannot enjoy the meal in the night. So we need to do that. But if any kind of exercise, if we are treating as effort, then it is really very difficult to enjoy the meal. This is true even for the intellectual things. In reality, learning can never be an unpleasant experience. By looking at the curiosity of the children, their relentless urge to learn new things and handle new things, it is very easy for us to see that learning is an innate ability built by the Almighty in every human being, and the children rejoice learning. I wish that most of the students should try to do this exercise. Do you feel sometimes part of a rat race? I felt a part of a rat race when I was studying for 10th examination, when I was pursuing my PhD, when I was pursuing my 12th examination. But that time I was not understanding this difference. I enjoyed learning this subject because later on I found what was making me unhappy. I transformed that so that I enjoy now learning every day some new things. Looking at your life dispassionately, what suggestions would you give yourself to avoid the rat race? As I give my example, I given dispassionately looking at the things that learning should be a fun, because it is fetching me the salary, it is fetching me the professional satisfaction. My students are giving me kudos because I perform in the classes. So that should be the case with everybody. The hedonist type avoids pain and seeks pleasure. Satisfying desires and giving desires and giving are no or little thoughts to the future consequences. If future consequences are given thought, definitely only momentary enjoyment will not persist for a long time. Hedonist is the nature in which every moment he would like to enjoy without looking even for suppose tomorrow will be examination. Today I should be able to go to get to the hotel, the meal that I want, then next time I will go to meet my friends, have a chat, then go to movie. But that is not preparing me for tomorrow's examination. If one keeps in mind that tomorrow is examination, then proper amount of time should be kept in studies. And after the examination is over, you have all the time to go for the movies, to go to the hotels. So this kind of thinking is absent in the hedonist type. Hedonist is under the illusion that fulfilling life is reducible to succession of pleasures only. And everybody knows that succession of pleasures can never be a fulfilling life. Your mother, your father also will not allow you to continue with the succession of pleasure. So they will always insist on healthy combination of work and pleasure. Something good in the moment is enough justification for doing until the next desire replaces it. This is the nature of the hedonist. And this is present in every human being. The one who tries to overcome the hedonist type of qualities in him or her, the nature will definitely help to overcome those. And the one who overcomes is bound to get good success depending on the amount of effort that he puts in his work. Hedonist types mistakes, friendship and relationship, they are initiated with enthusiasm. But as the novelty wears off, new relationships are sought and earlier relationships are forgotten. Potentially detrimental things are done immediately if gratification is there. In many of the Hindi movies, you will find that the villain tries to get some innocent people in his plot by enticing them by giving money or some kind of allurement which will take him away from good qualities. So this allurement is all the time present for the student because canteen is close by, friends are close by, movie theaters are around the institutions. Unless we learn to identify these allurements and put a break on that, the real enjoyment in the learning will be very difficult for us to find. Hedonist type mistakes the work as difficult and avoids it. As I told earlier, that even to get a good meal, enjoyment of the good meal, we should have good hunger. And for good hunger, efforts are essential. So work is difficult is a wrong concept, and this should be impressed on everybody's mind that proper work is essential even for our regular activities. The drugs produce pleasant experience and the hedonist takes it. In the one of the recent newspapers in Nagpur school, I heard that some drugs were found in the mobiles of the students, and the teachers were really surprised to see. They informed their parents and all that. So this should be kept in mind. It is very difficult to watch by the teachers or by the parents all the time, 24 hours. I should learn under my own supervision, and what is good and what is bad for my longer journey as a successful professional should be under my control. This course tries to teach students this innate understanding that whatever is the momentary enjoyment, that should be avoided if it is not proper, and you should continue to work towards a very healthy future. The hedonist type errs in equating effort with pain and pleasure. Equating effort with pain and pleasure is an error or a mistake. Error cannot be corrected. So if few people are able to correct this, means this is a mistake. So every student should see to it that this is a mistake, and as far as possible keep away from it. Without a long-term purpose, devoid of challenge, life ceases to be meaningful for us. See, I am learning because I want to be an engineer. I am learning because I want to be a doctor. After becoming an engineer, I will do some very good project which will be very good for the society. This long-term purpose is essential for enjoyment in the learning, because lasting fulfillment will be there, or meaning will be there in our work when we look at the long-term purpose. So it is very important for us to keep in mind the long-term purpose. We cannot find happiness if we exclusively seek pleasure and avoid. If one is all the time trying to find pleasure and avoiding pain, then it is really very difficult to become a professional. Every professional in the world has definitely got long working hours. As he enjoys his working along with the vacations that he gets, that's why he is a successful professional. A fat pay salary with a very insignificant amount of work is unheard of. So the student should not be under impression that they will get the material prosperity by indulging in the moments of pleasure only. Unless they turn the work that they do into pleasure, it is really very difficult to enjoy a working professional life. The definition that I am now telling is the definition that is given by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who is a professor of social psychology at Claremont University. The best moment usually occur when a person's body and mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. It is very important to see that unless I am indulging in a voluntary effort which is difficult and accomplish something, I cannot enjoy the process. The hedonist does not understand this and mistakes efforts for the plain. It is said that we are designed for the climb, not for taking our ease, either in the valley or in the summit. See, it is the uneven terrain that gives us enjoyment. See, mountaineering becomes a profession because we are not interested only in going on top of Everest, but we want to acquire how to handle the difficulties when we are going there. Once we are able to understand these difficulties, you can move around the earth at any point, because you are now able to to be comfortable with the excruciating pain, and that kind of pain is never there at all other places. So that will be a very good training for the people. Actually, that training interests the people to go for the big aims. Did you experience single or longer period when you lived as a hedonist? I recollect when I was in the second year, third year, after the examination, I used to get the spells of hedonist. By the time I was in the final year, I started enjoying the studies as well. So that really recollects me, my student life. I feel it is better that we should try to acquire this enjoyment of the studies as early as possible. What were the costs and benefits of living in this way? The benefit of living in this way was I was first in the university in the final year, whereas I was second class in the third year. In a class of 60, I was initially very good in the first 4 or 5. But because of the hedonist nature, my performance in the second and third year has gone down. As soon as I understood, I took the corrective measures. Immediately in the final year, I was rewarded. So I am very lucky. I feel every student will definitely be that lucky in this way or in another way. So it is very important that we should acquire these skills as early as possible. A nihilism per type person is a person who has given up happiness, who has resigned to the belief that life has no meaning. These people are generally tied to the past. You will find that the people who have got suicidal tendencies, these are the qualities that the students have. I have the fortune of helping some students, but every time it is not even possible for the teachers in a very big class to understand that a student has got nihilism type characteristic. If he gets the understanding, he will definitely help. So it is self-help is the best help. So every student see to it that he is not tying himself to the past. If he is not tying himself to the past, definitely he has got a very good future. And every student also should know some other quality. People who have resigned themselves, their present unhappiness, and expect the same sort of life in future are fettered to the past failures. And once you are attached to the past failures, you cannot enjoy. So it is essential that you cut off the past failures. You start living from now onwards. The past failures will make you to learn, to become learn helpless. Many people, it's very difficult for them to come out of the past, and the final thing is not very good. An eminent researcher, Martin E.P. Seligman, has done research on this, how a person becomes learned helpless. He has taken 3 types of dogs. In the first type of dogs, in the first group of dogs, the dogs were given electric shock, which they could turn off by pressing a panel. In the second, the dogs were given the electric shocks, but they had not this freedom to relieve themselves from the shock. Third group was not given anything. And after the training of the dog, what he did was the dogs were put in some other area. A small platform was there through which they were able to scale and go off. And the dogs in the first and third group, they were able to negotiate that small obstacle when given shocks. They came out of the box, the barrier. But the dogs in the second, where the dogs had not control over to stop the electric shocks, they were whimpering with pain when receiving shocks. They were helpless. Actually, this theory fetched PhD to Professor Martin E.P. Seligman, and based on this theory, he tried to find out learned optimism. It is possible that optimism can be learned, and to learn the optimism, what is important is that we must know that my own efforts are going to make me take out of the difficulties that I have. On the screen, you will find the people who are helpless. The emotions that they feel are not really reinvigorating. They lose enthusiasm. They are bereft of positive emotions. It is very difficult for them even to enjoy the success of their friends. So a person who has learned to become helpless not only will make his life mess, but the people around him, they also will be feeling very bad. So he will be isolated. It is very important to deliberately know this, because we can avoid this by learning what are these qualities. I should have my internal sensor for the kind of behaviors that make me helpless. And whenever I get an opportunity to go away from that behavior, I must indulge in it, and I must deliberately indulge in it. So this is the thing that we can take. When we fail to attain desired outcome, we often extrapolate from the experience the belief that we no longer control the lives or certain parts of lives. If our parts of life are not under control, or if we are trying to extrapolate our earlier failures, then we are going to turn to nihilism type, and this should be under any circumstances avoided. Such thinking will lead to despair, and why not avoid this? So one must make a valiant effort to see to it that he is not falling in this trap, whatever may be the prevailing circumstances around him. Do you recollect some time you felt like a nihilist? See, when I was pursuing PhD, after putting a lot of efforts for months together, I was not getting the result that I wanted. That time I felt like this. But it is very important that we must control ourselves. I kept on working and tried to see. Yesterday's failure was yesterday's failures. Every day when the sun rises with a new hope. Let's attach new hope to the rising sun and start work. So slowly, this kind of thinking cut me off from this sort of thinking. What strategies can be evolved to come out of such feelings? I told my one strategy. And whenever we are trying to think about the past, stop yourself. It is very easy to stop. See, you can take one or two deep breaths and see to it that you are trying to live in the present moment. So, if I am able to snap the attachment with the past failures, it is very easy to come out of it. I feel it is for everybody very easy to come out of it, provided we are very intent on getting it. The rat racer type suffers from arrival fallacy, the false belief that reaching a valued destination can sustain happiness. So he is waiting for the arrival because only arrivals are going to give him happiness, whereas the journey is not. So this is not the case. One should be avoided. The hedonist type suffers from floating moment fallacy, the false belief that happiness can be sustained by an ongoing experience or momentary pleasures that are detached from the future purpose. Any student who is expecting good professional life has to keep away from his floating moment fallacy, because any professional learning requires rigorous work, and rigorous work can be done with proper rituals. He should decide his moments, his hours of study. He should decide for keeping his good health, his hours of exercise. So floating moment fallacy is the worst fallacy for the student life. I always advise students to avoid it, because this is what we see most of the time. The students who are not able to work to their potential, this is not because they do not have the potential, because they have got limiting belief. These limiting beliefs are tying them to the floating moment fallacies. So it is very important for the student to break away from the floating moment fallacy as quickly as possible, because canteen is there even at the end of the lecture. So when the lecture is going on, it is very essential that you should attend the lecture. When the lab session is going on, it is very essential that the lab session should be attended. Even by some reason, because of some problem, the lecture is not held, I always advise students to go to the library, go to the reading hall, study on their own, because for a 60-minute lecture, the teachers are supposed to deliver 45 to 50 minutes, and a tea can be always had in 10 minutes. So he can create a lecture for himself so that the learning experience is enhanced. Nihilism is a misleading reality. The false belief that no matter what one does, one cannot attain happiness. So this is definitely a false statement, because when you are working within your circle of influence, whatever possible you are doing, you can never be attached to nihilism. So at least keep on working within the freedom that you have, within the capacities that you have. All the time, it is very difficult to get enabling institutions around you. If enabling institutions are not around you, if we are moving away from it, so that will be in the long run not good for us. That's why it is essential that we should always try to see that we are placing the right work, we are thinking in the right direction. The last fallacy, that is the nihilism time, fails from the inability to see a synthesis between arrivals and floating moments. Some third option that may provide a way of one's unhappy predicament. See, if we are waiting for the arrival, I cannot enjoy the journey. If I am in the floating moment, means I am enjoying this moment, I want to enjoy the next moment, I want to enjoy. There is some discrepancy in this.